make that, I want to be in the decision kind of making place, but maybe they're not ready. Maybe it's not the time. Maybe it's not the right seat on the bus for them. Maybe they ought to figure out where the bus is going and are they on the right bus? Have you ever done that? You've got on the bus. I did this. I did this once. I was in the military. I was in the Army, and I was stationed in New Jersey. And we had gone to the city, New York City, for the weekend. So I'm 21. I have never been out of Iowa before that. Here I am in New York City, and a couple of us get on a bus. We had no idea where this bus was going. When it got to its final destination, I couldn't wait for the next bus in order to get back to some place where I felt like I was not the minority. Because I'm a farm boy. I don't look like that. And I had not been exposed to that, so there was fear for me. Because I did not make the choice to get on the right bus, because I didn't know where I was going. I had not set a destination. Do you see how important it is to set a destination? You may not get there, and that's okay. But if you don't have a destination, you don't have a purpose, someplace where you're going, someplace that you want to be, guaranteed you'll arrive somewhere. We always arrive somewhere. But you get to choose where you want to go. Are you choosing right? Are you choosing the things you want? Are you choosing the places that you want to be, the people you want to surround yourself with? I read the call to members this morning because this is where I want us to go. This is where I want us to be. And I'm not doing this because this is what I want to do. Well, yes, I am, but I'm doing this because for some reason, somewhere, somehow, Spirit has guided and directed me to be here. You all know, most of you know my story. I did not choose to come here. I was semi-retired, bought a motorhome, was going to travel the country. I left San Diego, arrived in Palm Springs, and that was the end of it. That was not my plan. God had a different plan. She said, no, this is where I want you. This is where I want to express and experience through you as you in this place and this time. Now is the time. You are the people. This is the center. We are ready to manifest, demonstrate, and explode out into the greater world a power and a presence of who we are. One of our past presidents of the Board of Trustees, Bill Wheeler, shared with me on Friday night this idea of, are we not speaking our truth out into the world? What good does it do for me to stand up here and repeat the truth week after week after week to the choir? You already know it. You already live it. You would not be here if you didn't already know the truth and feel it and answer to the call. Because you want to increase, improve, and expand the truth that you already have. What about all of the rest of the people that are out there in the Coachella Valley? How are we reaching them? In my call to the members, I say, find a need in the community. And I'm not talking about our building. Out there in the world. Desert AIDS Project, revivals, Eisenhower, hospice, wherever you find yourself out there in the community filling a need, and you're showing up as the divine presence, and people say, how come you're so called? How come you're so brilliant? How come your light is shining so much? Because I go to the Center for Spiritual Living. Because I'm practicing the truth. I'm calling you to speak that word, to invite people in, to bring them in order to create this center. We have approved a new set of bylaws that allows for a couple of changes. One that has to do with the term limits on the core council. We're going to hold on to them a little bit longer, if they choose, because they have free choice. And it also brings us into alignment with the bylaws that the Centers for Spiritual Living is now operating on, because we use that term instead of church. We're now talking about centers. And so we had to bring ourselves, we didn't have to, we chose to bring ourselves into alignment with that. It was not an easy task. Not everybody understands it. Not everybody has fully agreed with it yet. But the bus is moving. And if you have to find your seat on the bus, I'm here to tell you, now's the time. Get your ticket and let's go. Because we're about to step out into a new and glorious expression of who we are. We have elected a new council. Some of them are going to be returning, some of them are going to be new. And they're going to be presented to you in a formal and spiritual and ritual way, but they're not all here today, so we're not doing that at this time. But when they are here, I want you to meet them. I want you to recognize them. I want you to get familiar with them. I want you to pester them until you have gotten the answer that you need to have. Because they are part of that inner hub of this core that we are operating in. The analogy of the flywheel, that we have this flywheel that we're pushing it, and we're pushing it. And the more it pushes, the more momentum it begins to gather. And the more momentum it begins to gather, pretty soon it starts moving on itself, and you can't stop it. And if you haven't already gotten on board, it's going to be hard to get a hold of that and get out of it, because it's moving at an incredible rate of speed, almost equal to how fast this planet is moving and revolving out in the cosmos. Now's the time to get on board. Now's the time to get involved. I have declared, and I did this a couple of years ago, and I'm going to do it again. I am declaring right here and right now that this summer is going to be the best summer that this center has ever seen. Amen. Can you agree with that?
Yes.
Yeah. Because there's some false belief that's going around that says in the summertime we wilt and die. Ain't happening. Not under my watch. Not if I can help it, because I'm declaring something different. And I want you to declare that too. I want you to be in the affirmative. I want you to be that positivity that God loves, because God wants to work through you. God cannot experience in this world except through you. It needs you and requires you. Without you, there's a part missing. And if that divine nature wants to be whole, perfect, and complete, then it's going to ask you to be whole, perfect, and complete. To live to your full potential. So how do we reach this point of positivity? Again, this is the choir, so I know none of you are pessimistic or negative. But, in case you know somebody like that, what I call the Eeyore complex. Oh, well, it's just going to be another blustery day, and the house is probably going to blow down again, so why rebuild it? Those people are out there. We can change that. We can transform that. We can be, period. We can be. Begin to call upon the attributes of God. Begin to call upon the qualities of God that remind you your perfection, your wholeness, abundance. My life is filled with abundance. Say this with me. My life is filled with abundance. balance